Hello everyone, Dan14 Prime here. I want to do a video share out today with you guys on the Prime 1 Studios Injustice 2 quarter scale Brainiac statue. A few weeks ago my Injustice 2 Superman statue arrived and I reviewed that. I'll put a card up here in the corner. Be sure to check that out. This Brainiac is the great and natural complement to that piece, and I wanted them as a set because this piece here, and you're looking at the exclusive, very limited 150 pieces, but it's going to be between $1,200 to $1,300 to get it to your door. And it's not available a lot of places. I bought it from Prime 1 Studio directly online. So it's like $1,000 plus statue, $250 to ship it in, so it gets you to about $1,300 to your door. It's a lot of money for a quarter scale statue, but as I mentioned in the Superman review, these are big quarter scale statues at dang near 30 inches tall, just to the top of Brainiac's head, never mind the tentacles flying everywhere. The collector's edition, limited to 200 pieces, so only 350 of these worldwide. And the exclusive, as I didn't mention, it's just a head sculpt, which we'll take a look at later. And it's probably like 50 bucks cheaper, so not a big price difference. But as I mentioned in my Superman review, I fell in love with that Superman statue for the reasons I mentioned there. Then I had to have this. This is probably the better statue if you're just a statue buff. I'm not. But my excuse for buying him was he is the awesome complement to that Superman statue. I love to have great pairs of things going on display. And oh, by the way, it's an awesome statue. For those two reasons, I convinced myself to pick this piece up, and I am not disappointed. You really won't find a lot of statues like what Prime 1's doing here with this Injustice 2 line, and you definitely won't find a lot of statues like this Brainiac. So let's jump in and take a closer look, but before we do, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And as always, if anything on the channel is ever helpful to you or you enjoy the video, please leave a like or a comment. It helps the video and channel out very much. So let's dive in closer on this thing, and let's start at the base. This base is epic. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a piece where the base is so relevant, so impactful, and just so badass cool. It's Brainiac's ship straight away from the game, and that's just an integral piece of Brainiac as a character, no matter what storyline or medium you find him in. So that's why I say I just don't know that you could find anything more relevant to have as a base for a character, and not a lot of characters have something that they can offer like that that's so unique. And we've all seen over and over again on the Batman and the Superman, just, the buildings and all of that stuff. It's cool the first time you see it, then it gets kind of old and same old, same old. This is definitely not old. This is definitely not same old, and you're not going to see it again, probably, quite frankly. So it is massive. It is so massive. It goes way deep, too, with that long tail sticking out the back. The total depth of the statue from the end of that tail to his far-reaching hand, you're talking like 24 inches, so it does create a lot of depth. It's big, it's heavy. Look at all this fantastic sculpting, paint work, very metallic, just beautiful. Beautiful thing. And it's got the purple accents, and you see some purple sort of shading across it here and there, across the metallic. You see these purple veins, and of course the purple LED light ups in the eyes in the center of the head right there. It's on and looks just so cool, just like a skull lit up. Really cool interpretation of the ship they did for this video game. Very cool contemporary interpretations for these characters overall for this video game. So looks really, really cool. So let me just show you here straight on. There's the light up feature. I would not be exaggerating if I would say this base alone. I've got some pics up on my Instagram of it. It's in my story, same handle, Dan14 Prime. I'll try to save that story down as well, so you'll see it in my profile, where I had just the base set up alone, or most of it at least. The base itself could really be easily like a $600 to $800 statue itself. It's that big. It's that well done. It can't stand alone because unfortunately, or whatever, just happens to be the case, that the peg for Brainiac is right there, so there's a big slot in his head. So you can't really display it alone, but this thing is that awesome and brings a lot of value, which is part of the reason why the price is so high for this. Just never mind the fact that the statue overall is quite large for quarter scale. So I want to come around the back, just show you some of the technical aspects back here really quick. Battery cover right here. Just lift that off. 2 AA batteries go in there. There's just this little button cover right here, and really it's just a little click button right there. I've just pressed it, And if we come back around, there the lights are off. I'm blasting so much light, it might be difficult to tell the difference. So dimming down the lights here, this is off, and this is on. So it really does light up very noticeably. You know, the lenses for what the lights show through, they're large, you know, big eyes, big circle in the center of his forehead. So very, very prominent and noticeable. These aren't gimmicky little LEDs and lights somewhere. These things really make an impact and are easy to turn off and on with the built-in integrated hidden button I showed you on the back of the statue. So next up here, let me talk a little bit about these tentacles. Same with Superman, I mentioned, you know, you got to put all these things on. They come out of the box, you know, kind of what I'll call flattened out a little bit. I mean, they still have curve to them, but they're not as dynamic as this. So you definitely spend some time with a hairdryer, warming them up, and then bending them however you want. And it takes some time, but it has a big impact to the statue because you can decide sort of how much volume you want it to take up from a display perspective. I've definitely sort of taken advantage of keeping mine tight and shooting it, leveraging the depth of the statue, shooting it back and curving it back and around, just because I'm trying to control a little bit the volume of this piece. It's still large. It can be stupid large. I post on my Instagram like 38 inches tall, 30 inches wide, 30 inches deep, if you let these tentacles really get out of control. But I've made them pretty tight here, at least from a depth and width perspective. It's more like 23 inches wide, 23 inches deep, the way I have it now. Again, here you can see this one really shooting it like back along the ship and basically folding it back over itself and bringing it back under his arm. So, you know, you need to make those look cool out of the box because they'll be a little bit flat and just sort of blah. You'll see a pic on my Instagram probably. Same thing over here, just kind of waving this one around, shoot it out, shoot it back. Let them just kind of stick out to the side a little bit. I think that's okay. This one here, same thing, kind of a long loop to the bottom and then to the front, but not further than his hand. So that's why I've been able to control some of the volume of the piece. I haven't adjusted the top ones yet, so he's still stupid tall. He's going to need to go into a Case Max display eventually, so I'll really have my choice. I've got unlimited height practically in a couple of those cases. I've got the vertical ones, but I don't know that I wanted to be like 38 inches tall. So I'll take a look at that. I can probably give him a little bit more width, trim some of the height. So just you'll need to play with those things to fit them into your display. But at the same time, you don't want them to be take away and just under exaggerate the impact they can have. So now let's take a look at Brainiac here. Just amazing sculpting detail in this. So it reminds me of like their Transformers statues, which is a little bit why these are, I think, a bit more premium than your typical comic book statue, you know, which for even a 1/3 scale can be like the same price as this. So you're definitely getting more intricacy, more detail, better paint, more paint variety, things like that. So just look at this guy. This suit is like so crazy intricate. I mean, there's like a silver waffle pattern suit below. There's all of this kind of armoring that's sort of layered over the top of that. There's like the purple exoskeleton kind of on top of all that. You see all these like cylinders, gears, hydraulics, whatever, in some of the joints. Again, a really cool interpretation of Brainiac in this video game. And it's a good story. I'm not going to go back and talk about all of the Injustice concept and stuff. It's in my Superman video, so I won't belabor that. But it's very, very well done. It's a great contemporary design for the character. And it resonates for me as someone who, you know, thinks of Brainiac more from the Kruger-Ross Justice storyline, right? It's an oldie but a goodie. If you haven't read that story, go back and definitely read that. And then if you go watch the Injustice 2 quote-unquote movie, you know, the video outtake cuts on YouTube, you know, you can see where some of that inspiration probably comes from. So it really, really works for me with what they did with the character here. And this suit is just beautiful. I'm just panning up and down. You can look at all the color varieties, all of the sculpting, all the waffle pattern. There's a ton there. I think it kind of speaks for itself. Really amazing. Let's take a look at the portraits here. And he's got this look where he's sort of looking down to his left. So, you know, he's going to look best up a little bit high, at least above, at least eye level, a little bit above probably would be even better just because of that looking down effect. You can see the hand there. I'll just focus in on that. I mean, look at all the detail on that hand. Look at that glove. All the fine metal texture through that glove. The nails. It's got these long pointy silver nails. Just, oh man, so much detail. So awesome. Way, way more going on here. You know, as someone who owns 1/3 Batman Nightfall, 1/3 Hush Batman, 1/3 Superman Hush. You know, the sculpting detail through all of this versus those more plain comic book representations, it's just like, it's a whole nother level, right? The Superman had it. This one has it too, even more so. So the portrait here, it's really good. He's got this dark circles around his eyes. He's got this like face. It's hilarious. This face reminds me of the Matrix, Agent Smith. Just like, it's the smell. Like, you know, something stinks, like people, humans or something. I don't know. That's just what it reminds me of. Classic inspiration with, you know, the whatever brain headset, whatever you want to call it, cerebral connection point stuff going across his head. So classically inspired, but great contemporary twist. You know, you got that kind of greenish, let's call it, very light though, sort of greenish, yellowish skin tone going on. And just lots of good sculpt through the brow, the nose, and everything. So, and the armor wrapped all around his head. Very, very good head sculpt, good expression. And here you've got the exclusive. It's more open mouth. The teeth are just immaculately done. You can see his tongue in there. The eyes are so cool too. It's like black, then like red ring, then black and white pupil. Probably super difficult to see, but just really cool eyes on this guy. So fantastic portraits. Again, this is the exclusive. I think it's just like $50 more, something like that. So definitely worth getting if you're just gonna go all in on this guy. And then just while I'm here, let me just show you around the back of the statue. You obviously saw it spinning, but want to get a bit closer here. And as close as I am now, he's kind of far away because, again, he sits so forward. He's at the front of his ship, and the ship is so deep. So he's a bit away already. A lot of depth to this piece. Back of the legs there. Again, the armor, some battle damage, like on the back of the shin, what have you. Just the intricate armoring. You know, he's even got a sole to his foot there. See, the armor all fits up through the hips and everything. He's kind of got this spinal-esque lower back, and it just goes up into the big purple plates on which these arms just shoot off. Again, the tentacles, what have you, I mean, they connect him to the ship. It's for dramatic effect. At some point, it's kind of funny because you think, well, Wi-Fi at least, right? I mean, he's super advanced. He should just be able to mentally communicate with his ship and anything he needs, you know, over some over-the-air frequency, but he was often plugging into his ship and things like that with these tentacles, and, you know, it just adds a cool factor. So I get it, but kind of funny because it's a little bit not as technically advanced as you'd expect. And the profile here, it's really, really cool. That outreaching arm and how the head works with the shoulders and just the cock there, the look down, and that all looks fantastic from the profile. I'm a bit above the camera. It looks even better than what I can show here. But a very, very cool profile. It's worth making note of all these end pieces. You can put the different hands, if you will, on the different tentacles. They go a little overboard here. They give you 6 of 4 different varieties, I guess. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. They could have just did 2 or 3 of each, and you can sort of and play as you like. But I guess if you want one of the exact same one everywhere, you can do that. So there's this one. Bring him in close here. So it's more of like a wide open tentacle look, kind of these 3 hands. Again, little magnet there that works with a magnet inside of the tentacle. Here you have it completely closed up. It's cool because the way it's done, you still see the way it's divided, you see there'd be 3 sheaths or what have you to the piece. It's just all folded up. This one is along the same lines as the first 2. It's just not quite as open as the first one. It's sort of the in-between. Kind of opening, but not yet wide open. And then you have this one, which is kind of just looks like it goes a whole nother route. I mean, like the claws and everything look different. Looks more kind of like industrial or something. This one reminds me more of like a Dr. Octopus claw, which is some of what you hear with this statue, just because whenever people see tentacles flying around, they're going to think Doc Ock a little bit. But this, you know, that's not exclusive to him. But this hand definitely looks more like a Doc Ock type hand. But I think they work for like the ship's tentacles, so that's where I use them, and I like to use these other ones for the Brainiac ones. So that's showing you around the statue, guys. Really quickly in terms of sort of a review. I'm being super brief with this just because of my time and energy at the moment, but want to share it out. From a concept perspective, spot on. You know, I'm not going to get into all of what Injustice and Injustice 2 is all about. You'll hear more about that in my Superman video if you're interested, but they nail it. It's him from the Superman for sure, and I love the classic inspiration, but yet on this contemporary take on how they designed the character. The base, super relevant. You won't see anything like that too often. So the concept in terms of the base, the character tying into the source material, and then just the dynamic and just presence you can get with the tentacles and just the overall size and scale of this quarter scale piece makes for a fantastically impressive concept. The sculpt, I talked a little bit about it. I mean, it like draws from like the Transformers line, you know, which is always a bit of a premium product of Prime 1. I mean, just all of the detail across all of the armoring, across all of this space stuff, which is kind of like Transformers. I think they put a lot of that know-how, a lot of that technology, a lot of that effort into this piece. So the sculpt is fantastic. You know, it's just super detailed, and the way they weave in the texture with, you know, the waffle patterns and things like that. There is nothing unfinished from a sculpt perspective on this piece. So phenomenal sculpt. In terms of paint, I love it. The few aspects of paint, colors, beautiful. This thing is going to pop in your collection. It's so vibrant. You won't see color like this on many pieces at all, particularly, you know, just if you're collecting DC stuff. A lot of things tend to be sort of gray and dark and dreary. So this, and again, along with that Superman statue, and again, it's a credit to the contemporary takes from the Injustice 2 video game line. They're more vibrant, they're more colorful, they're more bold, so fantastic color, and this thing is going to catch eyes just because of that color palette that they use. Next up, it would typically be talking about shading, but this statue doesn't have much of and doesn't need much shading. There's even less here than was on the Superman, which didn't have much. And that is because every like square centimeter of this thing is sculpted in some way and has some sculpt texture to it or something like that. So it doesn't require a lot of shading to accent, you know, anatomy or different elements. It sort of all just comes out because it's just picked out so well in the sculpt. And then just the way the uniform just builds upon itself, these layered effect, which I talked about, the undersuit, the exoskeleton, the armor over top, sometimes these kind of pistons or cylinder hydraulic looking things. It doesn't need a lot of shading over the top of that to bring it out. So there's not much to speak of. There is some battle damage and wear effect though, which is a nice build to the paint. And then finally with paint, we just talk about line work, right? Just cleanliness, just keeping it tight. And I see no issues with this statue at all. I've noticed nothing, but it's just impressive because, again, there's just so much to the suit. There's so many layers. There's so many textures. There's just so much going on with it. To be so clean as they have been is just really, really impressive. So there you have it, guys. Injustice 2 Prime 1 quarter scale Brainiac. You know, I'm sure less than a year ago, I would have never said I would be picking up a piece like this. But as I talked about a bit in my Superman video, it just kind of grew on me. The Superman grew on me. The Brainiac always impressed me as a statue, but grew on me more from a relevance perspective. And both him and that Supes really are like special pieces. I mean, you pay for it, but when you see what you get for the money, again, that Supes, $800 for like the base edition, $1,000 for the exclusive. Compare that to what you see with some of the sideshow pieces from their higher priced quarter scales all the way up to their maquettes. You start to make some of those comparisons, and actually, that Supes, for example, at $800, very, very good value. This Brainiac's same way. I mean, he's got everything Supes has got. He's got a way more impressive base. He's as big up through the figure of the head, and they're going to be like eye to eye when you line these things up. They're literally like both like 29 plus inches to the top of the head, so they will work perfectly together. But again, then all of the dynamic tentacles, really bring extra presence to this piece in particular, complementing working well with that base. So I get why the baseline version of this is a G, and I also get why it's so limited because, you know, Brainiac and $1,000, you know, a lot of people aren't going to go for that, but those that do will not be disappointed. I can promise you that. So thanks for checking out the video. Again, subscribe, like, comment, helps channel out very much. I hadn't mentioned yet, but if anything's ever helpful to you on the channel, you know, easiest thing you can do to say thanks is jump through the links below. I've got Sideshow, Amazon, eBay, affiliate links below. Any shop you need those links. Just supports the channel, no cost to you. So I do very much appreciate that. So again, thanks for checking out this video and the new addition to the Prime Empire. Stay tuned to the channel for more cool collectibles, and I'll see you next time.